Hey, business communication students, Professor Norman here with a check-in video for you for week 7. Week 7. We're getting into the semester here. It'll be week 12, week 13, 14, 15, 16 before you know it. But let's stick to week 7 for right now. Wanted to follow up with a couple of things from the first half of our week with just a couple minutes for each. So. First things first, as far as the major task that we had kind of wrapping up last night, the resume peer review. I've clicked through the peer review folders in the classes, and I'm overwhelmed with appreciation for the tons and tons of comments, lots of feedback given. Awesome job to everybody who went in there and did that. The resumes are like so filled with comments that it stretches way down past the resume, which is perfect for a rough draft, right? You might click onto your rough draft and you might be like, whoa, so many comments. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. You want to get lots of feedback because you kind of need to sift through it a little bit, and you need to decide what advice you're going to take and what advice you're going to leave, right? You don't have to do everything that's said in the peer review. You just need to kind of consider it. It's like, okay, they say I need to, move this. Well, should I move it? Does that make sense based on what I'm kind of going for here? It's your choice. It's your decision to make this. So I encourage you to just think that through. Also, sometimes you'll get some feedback that seems kind of counterintuitive or maybe even contradictory to what somebody else says. In which case, I highly encourage you to take a look and some of the resources that we have available, see if there's a parallel in some of the notes that I gave. Maybe somebody, said something that they missed where I said, don't do that, or alternatively, just reach out to me directly, right? Email me at norman@binu.edu, or stop by the virtual office during virtual office hours or anything like that and just get, a direct answer from me. Because of the sheer number of resumes that we have, I'm probably not going to be able to give all of the resumes a very close look. I'm going to kind of scan through just as I'm kind of calculating everybody's peer review points, kind of seeing who's left comments where and that kind of stuff, and kind of checking those off, make sure everybody gets their participation points for the peer review. And if I notice something like really egregious that nobody's caught, I'll do my best to make a note about that, a suggestion. But I'm sure I'm going to miss stuff. So the best thing you can do is be very proactive on your own behalf, right? Make sure that if you see something you're not sure about, reach out to me, email me, and I'll get back to you as quickly as I can. Email me with any questions, and I'd be glad to help. Along the same lines, one thing that I have noticed just a little bit is just some design stuff, right? Some basics, and that's pretty common for this. And sometimes the design just gets messed up when you take a Word document and you throw it into a Google Drive folder. So it might not even look that bad on your actual file that you're going to submit to Blackboard next week, but I just wanted to kind of remind you guys that there are a lot of resources for how to design things through some of the notes that I've provided, but also two other things I would just mention very specifically. One, this is something that I just posted earlier today, Thursday, as I'm recording this. We've got a great video on document design produced by one of our very own business communication students, Olga. She's an honors student. She's on the volleyball team. She's doing a ton of stuff, but this is one extra thing that she's doing as one of her little honors impact projects, which you can do in any class and get some extra honors recognition for it. She's doing it in this class. She's going to make a couple of videos throughout the semester. And so she just made one on document design. The thing that I like about her video especially is that it's very visual, which is perfect for a review on design, right? So she kind of shows you some things as she's explaining them. So if you're reading through the chapter and you're like, okay, yeah, I'm supposed to align things in a readable grid or whatever was that, she's gonna take you through some of these things in a little bit more of a thoughtful, visual way as well, and she does so in a relatively short period of time, which sometimes I cannot say that I do. So it's about 5 minutes long, and it's well worth your time. Definitely check that out. The other thing, of course, is you should check out the page numbers in the BAC textbook. Pages 354 to 360 cover the different sections of the resume. So if you kind of looked over that chapter, but then it's been maybe a couple of weeks since you looked over that chapter, and somebody told you, make sure that you put in so-and-so, and you're like, what are they talking about, so-and-so? Go back to that chapter And it kind of breaks it down section by section. What's everything that should go in an education section? What's everything that should go in an employment history section? What's everything that should go in contact information? You know, that kind of stuff. And it gives you a lot of tips and advice and examples, right? There's an example of what a resume looks like in those pages as well, in case you're just kind of feeling a little unsure about even that part. You know, it's like, okay, it looks kind of plain, or maybe everything's grouped over to the left-hand side, and so there's a lot of white space on the right-hand side when it should really be kind of more like spread throughout the document. You know, it gives you some advice about that sort of stuff as well. So looking ahead, we're working now as we kind of shift into the second half of the week on the job application letter. And this is something that I think a lot of people have already gotten a good start at. Just a couple of reminders about that. This is one where you absolutely need to have a job advertisement because you're literally writing in direct response to that. Hi, my name is Matt Norman, and I'm applying for the Associate Professor of English position at Vincennes University. If you do not have an Associate Professor of English at Vincennes University job ad, then it's just, you know, you're just kind of putting in blanks or whatever, and that's, you know, that's not good. We don't want to do that. So it's good to have that for a lot of reasons. We've talked about those in previous weeks, but you know, when it comes to the job letter, then the job ad is very, very important. So do that, and then just remember that the job ad is helpful because it gives you stuff to talk about, and that's really important for the letter. The letter is really, really something where you can craft kind of a short, simple, sweet little narrative about yourself and how you either have a lot of experience or you're gaining a lot of education, or, you know, whatever your credentials are that match what the job ad is looking for. And of course, you know, style is just as important as content in a lot of ways. You want to make sure that you're presenting yourself in a very positive way, very, you know, you attitude focused way, meaning that you're focused on the audience, the reader, the company, and what they can gain from having someone like you, and not so much what you hope to gain from it. You know, just a couple of little style tips there. And of course, make it as concise as possible. That's something that happens a lot, is that people are like, I gotta make this longer the better, right? Not usually, because remember, there are sometimes a lot of applications with a lot of material to get through, and something that's, you know, really concise, as long as it's concise in a way that, you know, still conveys a lot of pertinent, specific information, then that's much appreciated, and it shows a higher level of your writing skill too. So keep that in mind. Also, just wanted to give you just a little bit of a heads up for this, because I mentioned it in class at the beginning of the week. Next week, in addition to submitting the documents, we're also going to do another one of those rationale talks, which, if you remember last time we did it using Flipgrid, and it was, you know, pretty basic, and, you know, it was just kind of like you know, an produced, you know, very, very, you know, simple, you know, talk to the camera type thing. This one I want to be just a little bit more professional. So it's going to be, you know, it's worth more points. It's going to be worth 30 points to the presentation's grade instead of the, you know, 10 that each of them have been. And it should, you know, kind of be a little bit more pumped up as a response. It's going to be a little bit longer. You know, it should be 3 to 5 minutes in length, and then also include some sort of visual element, which for most people is probably going to include, you know, like maybe showing part of their resume and like pointing to things on the screen, or maybe even, you know, doing screen grabs and putting it onto a PowerPoint and then clicking through that and showing that on the screen. Now, this is something that if we were in class, obviously it'd be very easy to do. Everybody would just get up and they would just, you know, show their PowerPoint, talk for 3 to 5 minutes, and that would be that. Since we have to do this extra step with, you know, cameras and recording and stuff like that, I have made an alternative way for you to submit it if you just don't have access to some of that stuff, or if, you know, that's going to be impossible for whatever reason. You can produce all the materials that you would have to produce, you know, produce a PowerPoint and that kind of stuff, but you also have to produce a script. Okay, so you're either going to produce a video in which you're explaining everything, you know, verbally, visually, you know, all that kind of stuff, or you're going to create the visual piece and you're going to create the spoken piece in writing, a script of exactly what you would say slide by slide on the PowerPoint. And if that sounds like a little bit more work, that's because it is. But if you don't have a camera, or if you just don't have, you know, the wherewithal or the knowledge or whatever to use a program like Screencast-O-Matic, very easy to use, and it's a good idea to kind of get some practice with that. You never know when you might need it for something else, but you can you can just make the PowerPoint slideshow a script that tells me on slide 1 I'm going to say, and then you just write it all out. and then submit those documents. And then what I'll do is I'll just kind of basically do your presentation for you. I'll display the PowerPoint, and I'll just read through it at a very normal speed. And as long as that speed kind of goes through and you know, lasts that 3 to 5 minutes, then you're fine. So that's what we'll kind of do to um, accommodate for that fact. For this particular one, I'm hoping that most everybody is going to use the more video option, but I feel like it's only fair to offer an alternative, especially with midterm and everything being so crazy, I'm sure, in your other classes as well. So that's all I've got for you guys here. I think that's plenty enough for this week. If you have any questions about the resume, about the job letter, about the job rationale talk, sorry if I can speak, you know, please reach out to me. Let me know. I'm glad to help however I can. You know, I already mentioned the office hours and the email address, so, you know, scroll back about, you know, 7 minutes and get to that stuff. But otherwise, I'm just going to depart now. As always, stay safe and stay healthy and stay as positive as possible. And if I don't hear from you guys through email or those, you know, office hours or anything, I'll talk to you guys next week. We won't have class or anything like that, you know, but I'll be available through probably like extra office hours and things like that, you know, for any problems that pop up. So, like I said, take care, and I'll see you guys next week, one way or the other.